is Italian.
Okay. And so Sean is like an environment designer for us. Yeah, exactly. Unbelievable to host something that I think brought to the table so much value in equal part. Not just what our team said and facilitated, but really hearing their perspective on all of the topics that we brought to the table. I loved how organic every conversation was, even though it needed to be guided. This project at the table, the idea was to go to the hardest place and invite some people to dinner. What's interesting is that when a table is set, when a meal is prepared, and invitations are sent out, surprisingly people came. This is the story of how we brought people together around the table. We're getting one more pastor from the Spanish Harlem area. So we've got two of them that just came here. This is our last guest, and then dinner starts. 6th or 7th right now. It's a big dinner. Where we were waiting for friends and family to pass away. Super excited. We have everybody here in the loft. We have an amazing meal prepped, actually 4 incredible courses prepped, and the vision of bringing people together to talk through some of the more valuable things to our generation is about to happen. So, although I've never done it before, I'm so excited because of the people that are in the room. New plates out. I love it. You know, how do we balance something that gives equal opportunity for people to hear, speak, listen, intake, outtake, all of that at a table? Have you ever been at a table where that mattered more?
Growing up in a Puerto Rican household, right? My parents would speak to me in Spanish. I would answer them back in English.
That creates life problems down the road.
But something interesting is that, you know, when I was younger, I remember how my mother would call us to the table. She would call all my older brothers. I'm the youngest of 3, and she would call us all at the table. And it didn't matter who was the oldest, who was the youngest. We were all eating the same food. We were all at the table for the same purpose. And we knew who was the head because the head always sat in the end table, on the end side. But it would get to a point where we were learning also, or they were modeling us kind of something for us to do when we get older. Where when we'll have our family and we'll call our family back.
You sit in the seat.
Right, and now it's my turn to sit in the seat while I have the younger ones looking at me as the mom, right? And I think I think for like something like this to have seasoned pastors to be here and to speak to the younger pastors or the ones who are starting new churches. They talked about their life at the table, and then it's going to come a time where that seasoned pastor has to go on, and now the younger pastor's growing up
As a model.
right.
Yeah.
The table has been so much more than just a place that we sit and we eat. For me, it's a place to connect. It's a place where I can hear the story of my kid, and man, I love hearing the stories of the younger youth and having them hear my story, because what I want more than anything else to help them understand is that I'm no better than them. And if God has took me out of this mess and everything that I went through, He can take you out too. But it has to start with first a conversation with what's where you're at and how did you get there, and how is it or why is it that you continue to think this way? Is there anything that I can do to help you see better that there is more than this? So
Those are your ushers?
let me tell you, you had to dodge them.
Oh my God.
Here's the catch. I gotta pick your brain later.
I definitely believe as a young person, I mismanaged a lot of my expectation because I saw tables and I thought, well, why wouldn't I have an opportunity to sit at that table? Not realizing character, right? How the Lord develops your character. I think that there's been a lot of tables that the Lord saved me from sitting at because He knew I would make a fool out of myself, And I think if I was going to go speak to my younger self, I would tell myself to be more patient and
God really had to teach me how He designed me to be through the Bible and living the Bible, and it was really empowering. But as far as coming to the table, I have experienced like hindrances because of who I am, and I really had to work.
We should be born in love, outside in the
ties. There's no power structure or anything like that. And we're here invited into a conversation. And I think that's something that's sorely missing from today's church. The model of one to many, pulpit to the parishioners, is something that's been well established, but we haven't done this model well enough. And so I'm excited about these conversations happening tonight.
The after service space where life actually happens, where relationships are deepened, where love matures, right? And so to have more things like this, I think are essential. They're great for leaders, but they're also great for real folks, just doing life when you're not wearing a leadership hat. But
had expectations coming, and that's like how it is with the family dinner table. You're not sitting down to dinner with your family expecting to debate or try to fight something or prove a point, and I think that nature was really reflected in what we did tonight.
I love the vulnerability behind it. It makes me want to do this just in my own life. Yeah, just with friends and family, because we drove 3 hours to get here, and I know it's hard to say, but I can't say that everyone in our little circle we'd want to do this with, but I think we have to step out and sometimes get past the feeling of wanting to do something.
inside my corduroy jeans.
I was told recently by a friend that New York City is one of the most difficult cities to gather people, pastors and leaders alike, because of distance and congestion and schedules. It literally is nearly impossible to get people from different churches and different camps together. And so when we set out on this project at the table, the idea was to go to the hardest place and invite some people to dinner. What's interesting is that when a table is set, when a meal is prepared, and invitations are sent out, surprisingly people came. Some from just a few blocks away, some from a few miles and a few hours away, and for a select few, they came from out of state. This is the story of how we brought people together around the table. Getting your nails in, talking about great ministry. All natural, all natural.
I got you with the bull out there, man. I'm gonna take But this is, for me, this is beautiful because if you look at it.
You know what's really funny is I constantly hear people talk about how their ministry is a family. They talk about how this is our family, these are the people, my ministry is like a family, and you have to ask the question, if that's the case, how often are you coming together at the family table? I know for me, some of the most significant ministry I've had is when I've been invited into some of my leaders' homes to share a meal and a conversation around a table. And I've also been guilty of calling a ministry a family and then never once having people into my own home to share around this sacred and yet simple space. For the people that are watching this or who will see it, my hope is that you would host a conversation in your home around a simple table, that you'd get out of the church, you'd get away from the conference table, you'd get out of a restaurant, and that you'd open up your sacred space for the sake of communicating how valuable the people in your ministry family really are.